Well, here we are. It is Friday, Paranormal Fridays, and that this is the fun times. Whenever. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and block you. There we go. I'm just for people who come up and being rude and disrespectful. I'm just going to block you on TikTok. Moderators block them. I'm not going to pay attention to the trolls. Just not. Sorry. Anyway, I haven't even started and I'm already dealing with trolls. Isn't that sad? Literally within 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds. Whew, man, it is a crazy thing. So it is Paranormal Friday, and we are here, and I'm excited to be here, and hopefully you are too. We're going to have a really wonderful show. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, you're right. Isn't that the truth? No time to waste on those individuals. Again, for the trolls, I'm just going to tell you, if you're going to troll, I'm ignoring you. I won't even pay attention to you. And it's really sad that on a Friday night, you have nothing else better to do. Sorry. I think sometimes I have a boring life, but for people who actually go on people's social media and troll, oh, I'm going to say this. Oh, this is so good. This is so clever. I'm thinking, dude, I really have an exciting life compared to some of the trolls. I mean, a really exciting life. But that's pretty sad. I'm sorry that on a Friday night, there's nothing better that you have to do than to go on social media and think you're clever. Oh, I'm going to say this, and oh, this is going to get a real surprise. Oh, shut up. Anyway, it's funny. To me, it's kind of that's sad. Well, we pray for them. And there we go. Everybody, I'm Bishop James Long, and I appreciate you being here. For those of you, first of all, I'm going to remind you, please make sure you go to the website that produces the show. And of course, that website is kgradb.com. kgradb.com. And make sure that you do yourself a favor and you sign up. Why was Jack's Paranormal muted? Moderator Jack's Paranormal muted, woken up for this live. I don't know why. Why would he be? I've got to figure that out, because Jack's Paranormal is actually a pretty cool person. So we'll have to figure. I don't know what that means. Anyway, kgradb.com. All right, kgradb.com. I'll get your questions in just a second, folks. So let me at least get the introduction out, and then we'll get your questions. But let me at least do the introduction. So kgradb.com. Make sure that when you subscribe, you put Bishop in there as your promo code, because if you put Bishop in there, you're going to get 30% off your subscription. They have some no problems at all. Again, but kgradb.com and subscribe. And they have really some fantastic shows, some really great shows. And I'm excited to be a part of the family there. But make sure you put Bishop as your promo code, because you want to get 30% off. All right, you want to get 30% off, and then we go from there. Also, if you want to, you can go on Facebook and YouTube and you can watch it there. And so, all right. What else? You can, of course, go to my website at bishopjameslong.com, bishopjameslong.com, and check out the website. By the way, if you need assistance, folks, people are telling me, you need to contact these people. You need to contact these people. You need to watch this video. Folks, I don't have time to chase people down. I just don't. I don't have the time. I wish I did. I volunteer 60 hours a week as a chaplain at the hospital. My days start at 6 a.m. Officially, I get up at 5, and I'm usually ending around 11 p.m. to 12 midnight. I am going nonstop 7 days a week. Plus, of course, I have responsibilities as a bishop, teaching seminarians, answering emails, making phone calls, doing spiritual direction. Folks, I don't have time chasing people down. I just don't. And quite honestly, I have thousands of people asking me to help. I don't need to add more to the plate. So if people want assistance, they need to contact me. That's how it works, because I'm not, we need to do it that way. So if you, or if anybody you know needs assistance, this is what they need to do. They need to contact me at bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal link. If they click on the paranormal link, there's a little form they just fill out, and it goes right to my email. The reason being is because I have a lot of accounts on social media, and I'm getting requests from everywhere, and it's too much to try to keep it. I can't keep it. There's no way for me to keep that organized. I just can't. I have over 10,000 messages on TikTok alone, so I can't do it, and nor should I be expected to. So again, bishopjameslong.com, click on the paranormal link. If they need help, that's what they need to do. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll try to get a team out there, a paranormal team that's respectful, that's legitimate, that doesn't believe everything is a demon, and they will go out and they will investigate. And you're right. I do need a personal assistant, Sarah. My God, is that honestly, and this is not a joke. I really could use a team, an actual team, to go through all the emails and all the messages. But see, that's the problem. I can't, because sometimes these messages are very personal and private, and so I have to be very careful with those type of information, because it's sensitive information. And so that's the dilemma. Okay. Yep. Briefly, okay, I tell you what, instead of talking about the old Catholics and Roman Catholic, what I invite you to do is go to the church's website. It'll be much better, much easier if you do that, because I've explained that ad nauseum on Wednesdays and Sundays. But what I invite you to do is go to usocc.org. Okay. usocc.org. And that's the name of the website, the church's website that I belong to. And if you want to know anything about it, anything about the church and the history, there you go. That's that perfect place for you to go and check that out. And there we are. By the way, I want to remind everybody that we will have, of course, night prayer tonight, as we do Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now you can go to Spreaker.com/show/night prayer. If you don't remember that, then all you got to do is go to bishopjameslong.com. Scroll down to the bottom, and I even have the link there for you. And all you got to do is push on the picture. It takes you right to the site. Okay? So there we are. All right. Now that's all the information that I can tell you. By the way, I will be doing a Patreon. People keep telling me do Patreon. So I'm learning Patreon. So I will be eventually doing that. And also, I am going to start doing, I think it's called Udemy classes. I think that's, I don't. So I'll be doing that as well. So I will be announcing that officially with the links and everything else. We'll do that soon. I'll have that up on my profile as soon as I have the link where you can go specifically for my classes. And so I'll be doing that fairly soon. And there we go. All right. Here's the deal, guys. I'm with you until roughly 8:50 or so, 8:54. So you got me for almost 2 hours. 2 hours. I promise you, I'll get to your questions, your paranormal questions. I promise. What I do normally is I talk about a particular topic, and for the first hour, and then we get to all your paranormal questions. For those of you who are offering gifts on TikTok to the ministry, thank you for doing that. That is very, very kind of you. I sincerely appreciate that. You can also, if you want to help the ministry, you can go to bishopjameslong.com. Scroll down, and there's ministry expenses, and you can make a donation there. For those of you who are brand new here, I do not get paid as clergy. And I do not charge going to people's homes. Never have, never will. So if someone lives in Texas or Florida or California, I have to find a way to get there. And there is no money tree in my backyard. I wish there was, but there isn't, and I haven't won the lottery yet. So if I don't charge people, then I have to find a way to come up with $1,500 or so to get to the people that I'm trying to help. Kind of common sense. So this is why a lot of people will assist, and I certainly do appreciate that. So that's very, very kind of you. I do teach paranormal. I teach demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy all online. So I teach the 4 classes. You learn all 4 classes. You learn at your own pace. And if you want to learn, I would love to teach you. So you can go to bishopjameslong.com and click on the class link. Everything's there. And if you click on it, you sign up, bam, there you go. And finally, no, I am not sick. People have continued to ask me, Bishop, are you sick? And folks, I'm not sick. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. Here's what I find very, very interesting. I was at one time 420 pounds. 420 pounds. And I talked to Mr. Producer prior to the going on air. And I got to tell you, folks, my life has changed completely. And so I walk now 5 miles every day. I roughly take in about 700, maybe to 800 calories a day. I drink 12 bottles of water a day. I'm taking vitamins. So my life has completely done a 180, a total change. And that's good. That's very healthy. So I am out walking a lot in the sun. I'm actually getting the vitamin D that I need. And I walk, like I said, every day I walk 5 miles a day outside. I'm always walking. So every day. And believe me, there are days I'm thinking, I don't want to do it. I want to feel lazy. Nope. Get up and get out. And I have turned my way of thinking into not thinking of walking or exercising as a chore, but I'm training my mind to think of it as therapy, my own form of therapy, my own way of getting away from everything, turning off all the social media, turning off, Bishop, can you do this? Bishop, can you do this? Bishop, I need this. Bishop, turn that all off. Turn it all off. And it is my way. It's my time to be able to push away from everything and to just be in nature, be with God, kind of contemplate, think about just life in general. But it's a time it's a time for me. Now, I certainly need a sabbatical, and I will take a sabbatical eventually. A sabbatical is time. Every priest will eventually take a sabbatical. That's time off. That's time away. When you're dealing with demons and when you're dealing with possession, and you're dealing with a lot of spiritual direction, and I see a lot of death in the hospital, and I'm around a lot of families that experience a lot of death. That takes a toll. That takes a toll. And it's very, very important that when those times happen, you have to be able to step back, step away, and kind of recharge your batteries. Because if not, it can really affect you. It can really affect you. And I wasn't doing that. Back in 2015, I was not doing that. I was not stepping away. And that's why I was 420 pounds. Folks, I'm not kidding you. People say, oh, that's not true. You were never that. Yes, I was 420 pounds. And I showed Mr. Producer this right before we went on air. And I was not sick here, but I technically was. That's me in 2015. There's that. You can see in the eyes, I was dying. I mean, when I saw that picture, it took my breath away because I didn't realize how sick I looked. And I looked sick. I was very unhealthy. And you're right. Sarah says you're dealing with grief and hospitals and death. There's a lot of emotionally and spiritually. I'm sure it would affect one's life. It does. It truly does. And when you're dealing with possession, and also when you're dealing with families calling you and begging you, pleading, crying, please get to my home. And I can't financially get there. That takes a toll on me too. I'm a human being. I feel the emotion. I feel the sadness. And I get frustrated. I get angry that I can't get to California, or I can't get to New York, or I can't get to Texas. This is why I'm passionate about what I'm doing. This is why I will not let the trolls steal my happiness and joy. I will not. I will not. Because I'm the one that gets the phone calls from people who are begging me to help. So I will do whatever the hell I can do if I have to stand on the mountaintop and scream bloody murder to help people, to help me get to. I will do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Because I've said this a million times, the hardest part of being an exorcist is not dealing with demons. The hardest part is having to tell a family who's on the phone with you, who is crying, begging you to help them, that I can't get to you because I can't afford it. That is the hardest part of this ministry. And for those of you who want to know, on average, the ministry with the store and donations and the gifts, it's usually between $150 to $200 a month in donations a month. One case can take $1,500 to get there. One case. $1,500. So I have to come up with $1,300. So I teach online English, and I also have to pay my bills. So my online English job pays for getting to people's homes and hopefully, paying my bills as well. So I live very, very frugally. I don't splurge. I don't remember the last time I splurged on myself. I don't remember. Because I think to myself, well, you want to take a vacation and you want to go to this place or that place, and that might cost $2,000 or $3,000 to get there. Now you can use that money to get to someone's home, or you can use it for a week on vacation. So I don't go on vacation. But that's it, folks. That's the ministry. And if you want to get, people always ask me, what do I need to do to get involved in demonic, in this ministry? First of all, you need to understand that there's a lot of sacrifice that you're going to have to take, and you're going to have to give. You're going to have to sacrifice. I realize I could charge. People saying, well, you should start charging. No, I won't. I can't. I'm not going to charge when people are already stressed for finances as it is. And now they're truly dealing with demonic issues in their home. And now somehow they have to come up with the money for me to get to them. I just think that's wrong. I cannot ethically do that. So I put that burden on my shoulders, and I try to figure a way to get there. And that's why I do this ministry. And that's why I will do it until the day God calls me home. Because God has placed this ministry in my heart, and I will do it. And if people get tired of me talking about it, I don't care. Then change the channel. Because if it was your family that was going through this hell, you would want a Bishop Long in your life. Not because Bishop Long is all powerful. No, because Bishop Long will fight like hell to get to your home to help you for absolutely free. And that's what I've been doing for 20 years. And that is what I will do until the day I breathe my last breath. So that's it. That's why that's why I do this ministry. And that's why I'll continue to do it. Let me get to some of your questions. And by the way, I do appreciate the gifts on TikTok, but did you know TikTok takes, I think, almost 75%? Did you know? I didn't know that. So if you want to offer ministry, if you want to offer donations to the ministry, please consider either doing the Cash App. It's $$ Bishop James Long, or just go to bishopjameslong.com and scroll down to the ministry. I have families right now that I've got to find a way to get to. I have a collection plate, which really I wasn't going to talk about. Well, I love the Little House on the Prairie. I love Little House on the Prairie. I do. I love the episode. I love the show and the way the time that was set in. I just love the show. So I have a collection pile. I had a collection plate of the Little House on the Prairie collection plate. They're really beautiful. They're like scenes from the shows, and I had the entire collection. I recently sold that collection because that is going to help me to get to a family who has begged me now for the past 3 months to get to their home. And I was looking at the collection plate the other day, and I just gotten off the phone with her, and she was crying, and she had 2 kids, and she was begging me, what can I do? What can I, they didn't have any income because the husband was hit with COVID, and he was out of a job for a long time. And so that's it. That's it. I'm selling it. And that's what I did. So I'll be going. No. I will sell every sentimental item that I have to get to people's homes. Everything. If I have to sell the cleric, if I have to sell the jacket, I will sell everything that I have to get to people's homes. Because of that, I'm not kidding. That is the hardest part of this ministry. I'm tired of telling people I can't get to them. I'm tired of it. And then you have trolls coming over. Oh, you have a store and you have a. Shut up, demon, get behind me. All right. So let's get to some of your questions, because I know we were talking about the sleep paralysis, and we are. But, I think, yes, I think the book of Ecclesiastes, you should read it. Absolutely. And one of the things when I teach Bible study, thank you. When I teach Bible studies on Wednesdays and Sundays, I go into the historical aspect of what was going on. So for those of you who want to participate in Bible study, please, on Wednesdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm here live. Everyone is welcome, regardless of your religious affiliation. I welcome everybody. No matter who you are, I welcome you. And so I consider you my friend. Gladiator, please. Why troll? Why troll? Seriously, why troll? I mean, really? You'll be blocked and muted. So anyway, trolls. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sandy. Yeah, it does. It truly does. Joe Fox, I think the bishop just went through a major surgery, and I have lost something. I'm not sure how I feel towards life anymore. Seems kind of pointless at 55 years old. Life is never pointless. Joe, life is never pointless, no matter what age. No matter what age, because I'm sure, let me tell you, for any of you, and I know this is not paranormal related, but any of you, no matter what age you're going through, no matter what age, you are necessary. You are needed, no matter what age you are. Because the fact that, let's say you're 55, let's say you're 60, 65, it doesn't matter you are a survivor. The fact you are still living. And you know what? If you live in this world, in this day and age, and you keep pushing through, then by God, you are a survivor. And your voice is important, because what you can do is give the encouragement to others who might be going through exactly what you're going through, and say, hey, this is what I've been through, and this is how I've survived. Let me tell you something. This is how you make your life meaningful. If you've lost meaning in life and you wonder what's the point, here's the point. You are happiest when you are helping others. That's not a cliche or whatever. I am dead serious. The happiest people on earth are always the ones who are the first to assist people, help others. And anyway, that is the secret of life. The secret of life is to help others. Whatever your talents and gifts are, whatever they are. And I promise you, I give you my word, when you do that and you dedicate your life to helping others, you will, if you have lost the meaning of life, I guarantee you will find it. And some people, and I'm not talking about grandiose things. If you do grand things, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Mother Teresa or Princess Diana. If you do anything, that's wonderful. But remember, the smallest act of kindness, the smallest gesture for you might be meaningless, or it might be, well, it's no big deal. But that small act of kindness, that small gesture, might be the difference between that person giving up that day and saying, I can't, I don't want to keep, that's it, I'm done. Or that small act of kindness might be what gives that person the fuel to keep going. So never, ever forget that. Never, ever forget that. Yeah, I'm on TikTok. Yeah, Gene, I'm on TikTok right now. People are chatting with me. So I'm not really for sure. Yep, I'm there. Or if you're not, I don't know if you're talking to me. Okay. Is Bill in charge tonight? Might want to. Oh, Bill is all. Mr. Producer Bill, by the way, he's always in charge. Bill is the man with the plan. So yes, Bill is in charge tonight. Might want his. Okay, I don't know, Kathy, what you're referring to, but yeah. Bill is here. Mr. Producer is in the behind the scenes. You guys on TikTok won't be able to see him, but for those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, he is there. All right, listen, I want to talk about this. And folks, I promise you in a half hour, I'm going to get to your questions. I promise, but hang tight because I want to talk about a topic that is very, very serious. And that topic is one topic that is truly misunderstood by a lot of people, and that is sleep paralysis. If you have ever experienced sleep paralysis, if you or if your friend is going through it, you need to listen to this, guys. So anybody you know, if they're going sleep paralysis, you need to say, hey, look, you need to come on over to Bishop Long and you need to listen in because I'm going to present to you. And for those of you who are pushing the like button, thank you very much on the TikTok. Just keep on pushing that sucker. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get into sleep paralysis and what it is. There's an article that I saw that was fantastic. Absolutely love it. And I want to share it with you, okay? This is actually from a medical news today, and it's written by Maria Kohut. She is a PhD, Dr. Maria. And I think when I saw this, I thought, man, I have got to pass this on to you guys. I have to. Okay. Alice in Wonderland, you think that James will find the case interesting? Well, send it to me on Facebook. That'd be great. Okay, so listen to this, everybody. This is great. Well, the article is great. You wake up in the middle of the night, convinced that an evil figure is lying in wait. You attempt to move, but your body just will not budge. You try to scream, but nothing comes out. The monster draws closer. And it may sound like a horror movie scene, but folks, this is the real deal. And you're experiencing what is called sleep paralysis. So let's talk about sleep paralysis. We're going to talk about this from a medical perspective, but also we are going to talk about, it is something that happens. And yes, it can be demonic, but not all the time. And thank you again for tapping that. Thank you so much for tapping that screen. I really appreciate that. So listen to this. This is really a fascinating article. And by the way, if there's anybody who's a tech person, my iMac is acting stupid. If you're a tech person, if you can contact me on Facebook, I think I need to upgrade the hard drive. It's an older iMac, but sometimes it's locked up on me several times. It locked up on me the other day when I was doing a presentation, and it's been doing that more often. So I think I'm going to have to get the hard drive upgraded, which I have no idea what that even means. But anyway, okay. So folks, I promise you I'll get to your questions. I swear to you. I give you my word. So just hang tight. Let's learn about sleep paralysis, and I'll get to your questions. Sleep paralysis is like a waking nightmare, and the underlying causes for this condition, it really truly does remain unclear. However, this terrifying and mysterious sleep disorder, or parasomnia, has been experienced by people possibly since the dawn of humankind, and it may have given rise to numerous ghost stories and mysterious accounts involving things that go bump in the night. Again, this was written by a PhD. This most unsettling experience was first clearly documented actually in a medical treatise in the 17th century. It's pretty interesting, by a Dutch physician who wrote about the case of a woman 50 years of age, in good health, strong, yet who complained of mysterious experiences at night. So this was way back in the 17th century. She had this Dutch doctor says when she was composing herself to sleep, sometimes she believed the devil lay upon her and held her down, and sometimes that she was choked by a great dog or thief lying upon her breast, so that she could hardly speak or breathe. And when she endeavored to throw off the burden, she was not able to stir her memories. Her members, her body. Okay, so what the woman in this doctor's account likely experienced was a condition that has come to be known as sleep paralysis. I cannot tell you how many people have asked me about sleep paralysis every day. So if anybody you know wants to know about sleep paralysis, they need to listen to this. Okay, researchers define sleep paralysis as, quote, a common, generally benign parasomnia characterized by brief episodes of inability to move or speak combined with waking consciousness. Sleep paralysis can be terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I mean, truly what nightmares are made of. Imagine for a moment that you're having a dream, and the most grotesque monster or figure, whatever it might be, or let's say if you don't like spiders or snakes or whatever, your worst fear, that monster was coming at and chasing you. And now you're suddenly awake. You're no longer asleep. You are awake, and you are aware that you are awake. And now you see this monster right in front of you. And you're no longer dreaming. You're fully conscious. And you can't move. You can't scream. You can't get a weapon, and you can't knock it in the head. You can't do anything. You are literally frozen. And you see your greatest fear standing right in front of you. That, I understand, and understandably so, is and would be terrifying. Terrifying. But there is some medical explanation for this. So listen up. So we're talking about sleep paralysis, and let's talk also about hallucinations. So bear with me. Here's a little bit of science behind it. The reason why sleep paralysis is so scary is not just because you will suddenly become alert, but realize that you are, in fact, unable to move a muscle or even utter a sound, but also because this experience is often, as in many cases, accompanied by terrible hallucinations. So listen, these are, as specialized literature has now ascertained, typically, they fall into three distinct categories. One, a sensed presence, an intruder hallucination, in which the person feels the presence of an evil or threatening individual. Two, some people talk about an incubus hallucination, in which the person might feel someone or something pressing down uncomfortably or even painfully on their chest or abdomen, trying to choke them and violate their private space. Okay. Let me just stop for a second and talk about an incubus and succubus. I have worked incubus and succubus cases, and they are violent. If you are having that type of situation where you are going to sleep or waking up, and you are seeing this horrible figure that is standing above you and violating your body, if it only occurs when you're going to sleep or when you are waking up and you can't move, if that's the only time that those things occur, you're dealing with probably what's called a sleep paralysis episode and not a true incubus and succubus case. And here's why. An incubus and succubus is not contingent upon your sleep state. So an incubus or succubus will attack you at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, or when you're completely alert and you're awake, you can move, you can talk, you can scream. An incubus is not just contingent upon you waking up or going to bed. Do you understand? So many times people will tell me that when they're waking up or when they're going to sleep, that is when they have this incubus situation. That is sleep paralysis. Again, a true, now, can an incubus and succubus attack you during a sleep paralysis state? Absolutely. But an incubus and succubus will also attack you when you're wide awake and you're going about your business, the daily normal business, okay? So let me explain that. So third, what's called a vestibular motor hallucination, during which the individual thinks that they are floating, flying, or moving. These also may sometimes include out-of-body experiences in which a person thinks that their spirit or mind has left their body and is moving and observing events from above. Now, among the types of dreamlike hallucinations listed above, the first type, a sensed presence, is actually one of the most commonly experienced by people with sleep paralysis. A sensed presence where, for example, you wake up and now you're seeing this horrible figure, a demon, or whatever it might be, a disfigured person or a monster, whatever it is. That's the first one. As for the time of sleep at which sleep paralysis, or with or without hallucinations, normally takes place, again, there's no single answer as far as for the time of sleep. Now, according to a study that was actually published in the Journal of Sleep Research, sleep paralysis typically happens soon after falling asleep. Okay, so that's very important to know. At some point during the course of sleep, or a little before the person's usual time of awakening. Now, many people will talk about it happens a lot when just waking up or in the morning. And that is primarily is because at that time you've gone into what's called REM, rapid eye movement. And so when you are startled and you are awake, many times it happens. Now listen carefully. The authors of that study note that the most common instances for sleep paralysis are they usually take place 1 to 3 hours from falling asleep. So some people have said that they've seen a strange, shadowy man. In fact, these visions and sensations can seem so realistic to people that they may think that they are having a paranormal experience, or even being subjected to strange tests and rituals. A lot of people, by the way, during this type of hallucination will say that they believe that they are being abducted by aliens. And it says here, quotes, witness accounts of such hallucinations can be truly unsettling, and a number of long-term experiments, such as Lute Prouder and the Dark Intrusions, have offered detailed accounts of years of uncanny nightly encounters. One person who told me about this nightmares hallucination said that he felt as if someone knelt on his chest, and that it felt as if he was being choked out. That would be terrible. I understand. That would be terrifying. Another person spoke of a nighttime assailant that takes pleasure in tormenting her in many different ways. When sleep paralysis strikes, the person says, I get both visual and auditory hallucinations, which most often involve a strange, shadowy man coming up my stairs into my bedroom. Occasionally, he'll prod or tickle me, this person says. Now, often she has said the sinister figure often co-opts her partner in his mischief. And sometimes she says, I'll even hallucinate my partner lying next to me and laughing maliciously at me, or siding with the shadowy figure is annoying. And this is very frustrating since all I want him to do is help me. So given the intensity of these hallucinatory experiences, It may come as no surprise that researchers have reportedly argued that hallucinations linked with sleep paralysis can be held responsible for many reports of like magical events, sightings of ghouls and demons, and alien abductions. And by the way, for those of you who are moderators on TikTok, if you could just remind people that I will be answering all their questions on the top of the hour. I just don't want people thinking that I'm ignoring them. If you're just joining us, I have two different computers. I'm running this on TikTok here, and I'm running this on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you see me kind of pan back and forth, you know that that's what I'm doing. Okay. Well, growling can certainly occur during a sleep paralysis episode. However, Dane, when you're sleep paralysis is when you are in a state of consciousness, but the motor functions have not been basically turned on by the brain, and you are in a paralyzed state. So if you are hearing growls, sometimes you can actually hear the voice of this, whatever it is that's in front of you. If that occurs while you're in a paralytic state, and then it goes away after the sleep paralysis episode, then you're probably just dealing with a sleep paralysis episode, unless it actually happens as well during the afternoon or evening or whatever it might be. Now, let me just say something, because Dane was asking growling. I have had many cases, lots, where I would go into a location and I would hear what's called a disembodied voice. So I'd go into a home that has a demonic infestation, and or when I was at Bobby Mackey's with the Ghost Adventures with the crew with Zach and Nick and Aaron, we actually heard the growl in the other room. We actually heard it. That is called a disembodied voice. You can hear it with your own ears. Now, an EVP is something when you use EVP, it's electronic voice phenomenon. You use a digital recorder, and although you don't hear it, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But when you don't hear it and you capture it on your digital recorder, that's called an EVP. But I have heard, in many cases that I have worked, in many homes that I've been to, I have heard a lot of growls. Okay. So let's get into, believe it or not, on sleep paralysis, there are happy exceptions. It's not all bad. Although usually people with sleep paralysis report experiencing terrifying hallucinations, a happy few actually point out to a state of bliss that make them look forward to these episodes. Listen to this. A study that was conducted by James Allen Shane from the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada, suggests that the people who most often describe experiencing positive feelings and sensations during an episode of sleep paralysis are those who are prone to vestibular motor hallucinations. Basically, these hallucinations were found to involve feelings of floating and out-of-body experiences, which are associated with feelings of bliss rather than fear. He says, in contrast to the other oriented nature of the intruder incubus hallucination, he adds, these experiences are very much focused on the experience-owned person. So sometimes Chain continues, and he says, the feeling of bliss during sleep paralysis are derived from pleasant erotic sensations that arise from vestibular motor hallucinations. I will tell you this. I had one of these situations until it didn't turn out to be bliss. I had apparently was dreaming that I had won the lottery. And it was a big lottery. I mean, this was all my friends and family. All you folks will be taken care of on TikTok, and all you folks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I will be taken care of. And believe it or not, I would even take care of Mr. Producer. Mr. Producer, who's behind the scenes, Bill. Don't tell him I said that. But if I won the lottery, I would even take care of Mr. Producer. I give him $1.99. But hey, it's $1.99 richer than he was yesterday. But I'm just joking. Hopefully, Mr. Producer doesn't push the end broadcast. But what happened was I had won the lottery, and man, I was thrilled. How many people I could help? I wouldn't have to tell people I can't get to your home anymore. I was so excited. And I was awake. And then I was really like, oh, this is the greatest. And then I realized you didn't play the lottery. And I realized it was a dream. And that when I was awake, that sensation of happiness and joy. And I learned very quickly back to reality, back to reality. It was crazy. It was crazy. Okay. So let's talk about the underlying mechanism here. I'll get to your question, guys. Remember, moderators, if you could please help me out on TikTok, please remind people that I will answer their questions. Okay. Enough with the trolling questions. You're just going to be blocked. You'll be blocked. Let's get on with the trolling questions. Okay. Seriously, stop. Moderators, if you can just remind people, I'll get to your questions at the top of the hour. Okay. So what happens when you're talking about the underlying mechanism? What happens in the body during an episode of sleep paralysis? Well, essentially, during the dream phase of sleep, known as rapid eye movement phase, or called REM, our skeletal muscles are actually paralyzed. The reason behind this are not fully understood, though researchers have been making progress in uncovering the mechanisms attached to this process. So one popular theory says that this temporary state of paralysis is meant to prevent us from hurting ourselves, perhaps in like an automatic response to some violent dream, which if you're in a relationship with someone, well, thank God we actually have that mechanism. But during sleep paralysis, paradoxically, our brains or parts of our brains become awake and conscious, but the rest of the body is still immobilized. So at the same time, during sleep paralysis, many people experience dream visions and sensations as though they were real, hence the hallucinations. And the fact that they are, in fact, partly awake and conscious blurs the line between reality and dreams. So there's a logical explanation as to what happens and why it is. Gene, I am there on TikTok. I am there on TikTok. I am there on TikTok. I don't know why you can't, but I'm looking at TikTok right now, and the people are chatting with me. So I'm sorry. I don't know why, but I am on TikTok. I've addressed that, and you're here, so you can watch it here. You don't have to worry about TikTok, but I am on TikTok. I'm looking at the screen right now. Okay. So who is at risk of sleep paralysis? Well, sleep paralysis is more common than we think. There was a study done in 2016. It declares that it is surprisingly common, but that determining accurate prevalence rates is complicated. But researchers and study participants alike have different understandings of what counts as sleep paralysis. So, a recent review of one available data suggests that 7.6% of the population have experienced at least one episode throughout their lives. Can you imagine? I mean, if you bump it up to 10%, that's pretty impressive. That's a good question, Roxanne. Roxanne says, how long does it normally last? Well, there is what's called isolated sleep paralysis and intermittent recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, or recurrent intermittent isolated sleep paralysis. That's RISP. Now, isolated sleep paralysis, usually 15 to 30 seconds, and that's terrifying, where you cannot move. So that's isolated. Doesn't happen all the time. And then there's called what's the RISP, recurrent isolated sleep paralysis. And that can last up, people have explained that can last up almost, there have been some 20 minutes. Now, I'm kind of questionable on that, but I don't know about that one. But let me finish this, because it's going to probably answer most of your questions. Now, some people say that most people have even higher, but what causes sleep paralysis and what is the main risk for experiencing such an episode remain really mysterious. Sleep paralysis is a common symptom of the you need to listen to this. This is important. Sleep paralysis is a common symptom of the neurological disorder narcolepsy, which is characterized by uncontrollable sleepiness throughout the waking day. And again, this was written by a PhD, so I read this article and I wanted to present this to you. Many people who experience sleep paralysis do so independently of neurological conditions. And to distinguish between narcolepsy-related episodes and independently occurring sleep paralysis, specialists usually refer to the latter as what's called isolated sleep paralysis. Recurrent isolated sleep paralysis, as I just mentioned, often starts in adolescence. And 28.3% of students apparently are experiencing it. Moreover, people with poor sleep hygiene, for instance, those who sleep too much or too little, may also be likely to experience sleep paralysis. The authors of a systematic published in Sleep Medicine Review notes this. They say specifically, excessively short, fewer than 6 hours, or long, over 9 hours, sleep duration and napping, especially long naps over 2 hours, were associated with increased odds of sleep paralysis. Long self-reported sleep latency, how long it takes to fall asleep, over 30 minutes, and difficulty initiating sleep were related to an increased likelihood of reporting sleep paralysis. So here's the question. Is mental health issues to blame here? Well, given the frightening nature of the most of the hallucinations associated with sleep paralysis, many have wondered whether individuals experiencing mental health issues, such as depression or anxiety, are more susceptible to these experiences. Well, the results of existing research, however, are mixed. Some have argued that individuals who have experienced abuse in early life, whether or not they remember it, may be more exposed to sleep paralysis. So again, what I'm doing is presenting the studies, and you can go from there. Oh, you're very welcome, Frank. According to the study that was published in Sleep Medicine Reviews, levels of waking state dissociative experiences involving depersonalization and amnesia were found to be related to both sleep paralysis frequency and the frequency intensity of all three hallucination types. So links to other neurological and psychiatric disorders are more uncertain. So there's several disorders that you can research, and you can check that out. So the question is there treatment? Well, there is treatment for narcolepsy. What can you do to prevent it? This is the million-dollar question. Well, according to this article, prevention and coping strategies for sleep paralysis are unfortunately most anecdotal. But there are some methods that seem to have been repeatedly validated by many individuals who say that they usually or often work for them. So here it is, folks. If you have sleep paralysis episodes, what can you do about it? I'm going to give you the answer. Or at least this is what some people have done, and it's helped. Some people who have sleep paralysis say that trying not to fall asleep on your back, since studies have associated episodes of sleep paralysis with lying on one's back when going to sleep. Some say trying to ensure on a regular basis that your sleep will not be disrupted, since repeatedly waking up during the night have been flagged as a potential risk factor. Others say avoiding overuse of stimulants such as tobacco and alcohol. By the way, coffee, surprisingly, has not been deemed risky in this context, though the evidence that these affect the chances of experiencing sleep paralysis are mixed. People also say learning meditation, muscle relaxation techniques may help you to better cope. And then finally, persisting in the attempt to move extremities in your body, your legs, such as fingers and toes, during sleep paralysis also seem to help disrupt the experience. And finally, if you are regularly experiencing sleep paralysis with sensed presence, in other words, you are sensing things, you are seeing things, you think there's a demon in front of you or a monster, whatever it might be, and you think that this may be related to other experiences of anxiety in your day-to-day life, it may be worth considering cognitive behavioral therapy. So again, just some ideas for you, and I think that they're very good suggestions. And according to the authors of Consciousness and Cognition Study, there is distinct, quote, possibility that frightening isolated sleep paralysis, sensed presence experiences may contribute to maintenance of an individual's negative social imagery biases. And if that's the case, they argue cognitive behavioral treatment of these experiences could help to alleviate the more general social imagery dysfunction. So if you're going through this and it is causing true issues for you and disruptions in your life, then this particular person who has a PhD says it might be best that you look into the possibility of getting cognitive behavioral treatment, because this is a treatable issue that should not be ignored. Okay, so there we go. That is your sleep paralysis presentation, and now we're going to, of course, I apologize that I had to interrupt some time of dealing with drama queens and trolls, but that just, trolls are going to happen. Trolls are a part of it. That just, it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Trolls are folks who just have no life. And they go and harass people. All right, so let's get to your questions, because so many people, I was being slammed with questions. All right, let's get to them. And then we can kind of go into, go from there. Well, thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate that very, very much. That's very kind of you. So what, okay. Questions? I mean, we have lots of, the Euphrates River drying up. I tell you what, Spencer, it does seem, look, I'm not going to get into politics here, whether or not, whether people believe in global warming and Democrat and Republicans, and I'm not going to get, but there does seem to be some type of change occurring. I have friends that live in Alaska. I have friends that actually live in Barrow, Alaska. And they absolutely, and Barrow, Alaska is the northern part of the United States. You can't get any further than that. And they have told me that they are seeing strange behavioral issues with the ice, with the snow. And so there's something going on. So I don't know. There's something clearly going on. You're very welcome, Flame. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you very, very much. So for those of you on TikTok, tell all your friends, okay, now let's get together. Let's talk questions, because a lot of people had questions. So here we go. I have not seen the show Evil. People keep telling me I need to see it. I just I haven't seen it. I don't know. The problem is my time. I can't really find a lot of time. In the Book of Revelation. Here's the people are. I've noticed there's a cycle. I've noticed that there's a cycle with Revelation. So in other words, it becomes a really hot topic for a while, and then it fades away, and then all of a sudden it starts becoming a hot topic again, and then it fades away. And I've noticed this cycle since I've been in ministry for so many years. I've noticed it, that there's this something will happen, and then all of a sudden people start talking about Revelation, and now everybody on all over social media is calling themselves Prophet James or Prophet Hula Hula or Prophet whoever. Hey, everybody has a right to believe in whatever you want to believe, but I don't worry. I don't worry about when the end of the world. If it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I can't control it. Right? I can't control that. I always tell people, you worry about the things you can control. You have to let go of the things that you can't. Truly, you do. So we can't control when the second coming of Christ is going. We can't control that. So I just tell people, relax a bit on the worrying. There's a lot of people out there who are really truly terrified and worried about this, and I just tell them, just relax. Just relax. And because we don't know when. Jesus said very clearly that no one knows the time when the second coming will happen. No one does, not even the angels. So it will happen when it does. Okay? Yeah, I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen Evil. I guess I need to try if I can. September the 11th. Now they're saying it's September 11th as the rapture. Folks, don't listen to me. And I've said this before. Don't fall into that. Don't fall into that. Just don't. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. People have been preaching. People were saying that the second coming was going to happen during the all kinds of the 9/11. They said it was going to happen during Hitler's time, the world wars. They said it was going to happen with during the Middle Ages of the Black Plague. I mean, people have been saying this nonstop. I guarantee it. It's going to happen on this day. It's going to happen on this day. And then they tell you to go to their website, don't they? Remember, I've said this before. They tell you to go to their website. Go to my website. September 11th, it's going to happen. And then they're selling books on their website. It's September the 2nd. So why are you selling a book? Because by the time I get the book, the rapture happens. So how's the book going to help me here? I probably won't get it in time. You see the nonsense. It's complete. It has become. Let me tell you a little secret. It has become a business. And preaching the rapture and preaching a specific date as to when it's going to happen, it's becoming a big business. And then here's what's going to happen. September 11th is going to come around. And then September 12th is going to happen. And then all those people who call themselves whatever title they want to call themselves have scared people and all this other. Well, I miscalculated. It's not September 11th of this year. It's September 11th of 2 years from now. Yeah, because it'll give them plenty of time to sell their books. Come on. So just, I would relax. It's going to be okay. You always saw Elemental in Cherokee ground there. You know, I tell you what, there's people, my grandmother, she was Cherokee, and there are lots of people who are absolutely convinced that elementals do exist. So, I have family who are Cherokee and my grandmother's side, and they are most certainly convinced that they exist. You know. Second coming, we just shouldn't worry about all that. We just shouldn't. Mediums, huh? Well, I talked about mediums, psychic and mediums. I've talked about that several times. Here's the deal. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a medium. And here's what I can tell you. And then with this information, you can go with it as you want. I have very great friends who are psychic mediums. I love Chip Coffey. I'm friends with Chip. I think the world of Chip Coffey. I'm very good friends with Willie One Walker Gibson, who's a shaman and a psychic medium. Look, I can't tell you how that works because I'm not a psychic medium. But here's what I can tell you. And I've said this before. I'm a chaplain for the police department. And there was a medium that you would never, ever have heard of this person because they don't go public. Never. They don't charge. And sometimes they work with the police. And they told the police where they would find a missing person, the remains. I was there on the scene. And they wanted me there to be with the family so the family don't rush on the scene because evidence might obviously be there. I was there trying to keep the family away from the scene. Look, I can't explain this, but I can tell you that within 5 feet of where this medium told the police where they could find the body, within 5 feet. And the medium didn't kill the person. And people say, well, that was a demon. No, that was not. A demon does not give you peace. Yeah, it was very emotionally traumatizing for the family. But at the same time, the family told me they never believed in mediums or any of that. And they always thought it was evil. But they told me, they said, at least now we have the remains. We can now give our family, our loved one, our proper burial in a graveyard, gravesite, in a cemetery. And it gave them peace of mind. It brought them closure. So here's what I'm going to say to you on this. A lot of people will use scripture to condemn X, Y, and Z. But if you were to go to that family that I was with on that day and you started preaching that it was so evil what they were doing, they probably would have socked you right in the jaw. Because for the family, that gave them closure. And I can't deny what I saw, but I also can't explain it. I believe we all have gifts, every single one of us. Listen, if I'm a psychic or if I'm a medium, and people have told me, James, you have the gift. Well, listen, I must have turned that off a long time ago. Now, I have a gift of what's called discernment, a gift of discernment. What that means is when you're going into a location and you devote your entire life, as I have, to this ministry, I do have a gift of discernment to define whether or not there's a demonic that's present. You really don't need to be a psychic medium to tell you if a demonic entity is present. It's overwhelming. The same thing with items that have an attachment, the demonic attachment. These are gifts of discernment. But that gift comes from God. And that's what I'm going to say. So, well, then, and you have the gift of block. Bye-bye. Okay. Tell us about losing your salvation. Casino Corey, I'm losing my salvation or losing salvation in general. Yeah. Or you're talking about just in general. Okay. There's this theory that there's no way you can ever lose your salvation. That's not true. That is absolutely theologically incorrect. The idea that you can never lose your salvation is a theological argument of universal salvation. That's what it means, which is heretical. Universal salvation says that no matter what you do in this world, no matter what you do, you can never lose your salvation. Never, ever, ever, never, ever, never. Well, that is a problem because that violates everything that Jesus taught. Jesus taught that there will be those who will not enter into heaven. There will be those who will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. There will be those who will be thrown into Gehenna. Jesus made that very clear in Scripture. That was a very important element to his preaching. Furthermore, if universal salvation exists where nothing you do, you can never lose your salvation, then what's the point of repentance? What's the point of John the Baptist's ministry? John the Baptist's entire ministry was two things: repent and prepare for the way of the Messiah. That was his ministry. But if universal salvation exists and you can do anything you want and you will never lose your salvation, then there's no need for John the Baptist's repentance. And Jesus talked about repentance. We have free will. Every one of us, we have free will. That is God's universal gift to us. God does not force his love upon us. He does not force you or me to believe in him. God loves us unconditionally. And thank you very much. He loves us unconditionally. And therefore, because of that, we can choose to accept or to reject God. That is our free will. And that's what I'm saying. Yep. Okay. Well, it's all discernment. All begins with prayer. It all begins with prayer. Prayer is our way of communicating with God. And well, there are many reasons why people are. Well, there are many reasons. These are okay. First of all, Sundays and Wednesdays, folks. Sundays and Wednesdays, I talk the Bible and I talk theology. So today is paranormal. Today is Paranormal Friday. So I'm very, very strict on Wednesdays and Fridays. I'm very strict. I'm sorry, Wednesdays and Sundays. I'm very strict with not answering paranormal questions because that's dedicated to theology. So on today, I really let's focus on the paranormal and supernatural because people have waited an entire week for this. So out of respect for them, let's try to get into your questions for your paranormal questions. All right. No. It's no bad. There's no bad at all. I just want to explain that. So there we go. Okay. Yeah. A minute ago, I couldn't even finish my talk on sleep paralysis because people were slamming me with questions, paranormal questions. Now, all of a sudden, this is why people like my sister Shannon, she'll say, why don't you just answer questions? Well, you can't do it for 2 hours. This is why I like presenting a topic for the first hour and then answering the questions for the second hour, because I want to educate. It's very important to educate people on topics. That's teaching is very, very important to me. And again, for those of you who are offering gifts on TikTok, thank you for doing that. Thank you. That's very kind. Listen to my sister. Well, hey, I'm answering questions. I'm answering questions. So there we go. Well, thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. And moderators, again, thank you for being here on TikTok. I appreciate you being here. See, Mara, that's a theological question. Marian apparitions. We'll get to the Marian apparitions on Sundays. Okay. But by the way, on a side note, I am a Benedictine, so I'm O Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. So I absolutely believe in the Marian apparitions. Oh, we have a Bigfoot. Okay, well, what Bigfoot question do you have? You know, Melissa, Skinwalkers. I actually did a. Well, if you want to donate, then you go to PayPal, or I'm sorry, go to my website, bishopjameslong.com. That really is the best way to do it. bishopjameslong.com, and scroll down to ministry expenses, and you can donate that way. That is the best way to donate. That way I can continue the ministry. I did a presentation on skinwalkers. I've never seen a skinwalker. I've never experienced a skinwalker, but I do know people who have. And matter of fact, I did a presentation just, I think, last week on it. But that's one of those things that I personally am still learning a lot about skinwalkers. I've never experienced one, so I can't tell you, this is what I think. I can give an opinion, but I'd rather give you facts based on what I know is to be true. What is this? Would you please explain the stages of possession from woe to go? That's pretty good. From what? Well, the mirrors was all about because of the spiritualism, and because there was this in the 1890s, there was a huge movement within certainly in the United States, really all over the world, with the spiritualist movement, where their belief that you would look into mirrors and that you could see spirits, or the spirits would communicate with you. Many times, black mirrors, even they would have that. We also see the Bloody Mary. I guess the Bloody Mary, whatever you want to call that, episode. A lot of people say, well, that's just nonsense. Some people say that's real. Anyway, that's what the mirrors are. But when it comes to possession, someone was asking, well, can you talk about from woe to go? Well, that's interesting. But so people have talked a lot about the 3 stages of possession. So let's get into that. There's 3 stages of possession: are infestation, oppression, and possession. Those are technically the 3 stages. But actually, there's a little more to it. So when you're talking about demonic activity follows into 2 categories. 1, ordinary demonic activity, and 2, extraordinary. Now, ordinary demonic activity is, let's say you suffer from one of the 7 deadly sins, whatever it might be, lust. And the demonic will amplify the weakness for lust to cause you to sin, or whatever it might be that you struggle with. Now, extraordinary demonic activity, that is where you're getting to demonic infestation, demonic oppression, demonic possession. So demonic infestation, you go out, you investigate, I dare you to do something. Come on, I dare you to push me, whatever it might be. Now you have an attachment. You bring that attachment home, you have what's called a demonic infestation. Demonic has infested itself within your home. Then it begins to, under the stage of oppression, where oppression is when it starts affecting you on the physical attacks, the biting, scratching, pinching, causing extreme sleep deprivation. It's weakening, basically, it's breaking down your body. It's breaking down the will of the person to the point where you can no longer fight. And at the same time, it's demonic obsession. And demonic obsession is when it's begin to attack the intellect. So you actually hear it. You hear the voice. It mimics schizophrenia. And at this point, it's trying to break the intellect and will of the person so the person can no longer fight. And they're at a very, very dangerous stage because the body can only sustain so much trauma. So you're having the physical trauma and the emotional trauma at the same time. And once that occurs and the intellect and will are eradicated, that's when you have what's called possession. Okay? So there you go. That's the 3 stages, if you will. Is there a connection between, demonic infestation and insects? It's going on in my home. There have been reports, but here, that's a great question. All of you are asking great questions, but there have been reports of people, especially in the demon house, of people who have had demonic infestation, where the demonic has infested itself within the home, and there will be an abnormal amount of flies or even spiders. But yet what happens with the flies or spiders, their behavior is quite odd. It's not in normal alignment with how, a fly would just simply fly around. But sometimes these flies look like, quite honestly, many people have reported the flies almost look like they're having seizures. And there's an enormous amount, just a huge amount of these flies. It's an infestation of flies or even spiders or other animal or insects. But again, the insects are acting abnormally. And so, but just because you have that doesn't necessarily mean you have a demonic entity in your home. There's other issues that occur when you have a demonic infestation. No. It's not because of that. It's that they're being affected, because it affects the entire. When you have a demonic infestation, it affects the entire area. The whole entire home is infested. Everything is affected, especially animals. I have had cases where I would go into a person's home, and they have a dog. And these dogs, some of these dogs were service dogs, so they are trained, and they're very calm-natured dog because their owners are or their companions, I prefer. They might have seizures or something of this nature. So the dogs, by train and by their very nature, they're very calm, and that's the point. But I've been in cases before where I go into someone's home with demonic infestation, and the service dog would just turn into Cujo. Now, it wasn't because the dog was possessed. It was because the dog was reacting to a very violent entity that was present in the home. And it was it was extreme protect mode. And it was like, literally, you pet the dog and then the dog would just stop. And of course, they would have the harness. By the way, PSA here, public service announcement: don't ever pet a service dog that has, it's whatever, I forgot the name of it. If it says service dog, if it has a harness on it, don't ever pet a service dog. Always ask permission first. Never ever do that, because they're working and they don't need distractions. So that's a little PSA announcement. It's important to let people know that. Always ask permission before you ever do that. Okay, so just don't do that. Now, PSA stands for Public Service Announcement. I've had some people just walk right over to the service animals and start petting them, and don't do that. Don't do that, because they're working, and that can be distracting, especially to the animals. So just don't. Always ask before you do that. Yeah, isn't that the truth? Emilio says, Animals are good barometers for negative spiritual. They are. Absolutely they are. Well, Felix is asking, can animals become possessed? Scripture talks about the pigs, the swine being possessed. So we have to assume that, in fact, they could, based on Scripture. Now, I have not had a situation, thank God, where I had a demonic infestation case or even a possession case, and there were animals present that I felt threatened that they were possessed. However, I have had quite a few cases where there was a demonic infestation. It was a demonic case, and the animals were the target. Let me explain that. Demonic entities are, you have to remember, they don't play fair. And if you're the target, if you are the target, and let's say that you happen to have, I love my fur babies. I don't like even calling dogs. They were my babies. They were my little kids. And I love them dearly, Fuzzy and Kylie. And they have passed. But what a demonic will often do, especially in demonic infestation cases, and if you're the target, a demonic will and can attack your animals. And hold on one second. There we go. I have to plug that in because I was getting a warning. So they can attack your animals. And they do that. That's a part of oppression. That is a part of breaking that will down to the point where I have had cases where people have had their little fur babies and they loved, their fur babies were their life. That was their life. And unfortunately, they had a demonic infestation case, and it began the stage of oppression, and the demonic then began to attack their dog, and their dog got very sick and passed away. And that person had a spiral down. Just a spiral down climb there. It was terrible emotionally. And which I understand, because they're trying to find every possible avenue that they can to break the intellect and will of the person. And they're going to do everything they can. And it is disgusting, but that's what demonic entities are. They are disgusting. Well, they understand that the purpose of the demonic entity is to cause harm on the body, to weaken the stage to where they can control. Because remember, demonic entities are spiritual. They are spirit form. They have never had a body. They are not corporal beings. They are spiritual beings. And so therefore they want to possess the body. They want to control the body. It's a form of, obviously, destruction because remember, our bodies are the temple of God. And they want to destroy that. They want to cause havoc to the body. And this is why we have clergy who get involved in this. Well, yeah, I talked about how long they can last, Jessica. The isolated sleep paralysis, for those of you who did, maybe, I don't know if you probably didn't hear that, but that's okay. That's okay. The isolated sleep paralysis, for those of you who don't know, I did just a presentation on the first hour of sleep paralysis. But there have been cases where the isolated sleep paralysis can last sometime up to a half an hour, which is very rare. That's very, very rare. Usually they're short in duration, up to a minute. And but there have been very rare cases where people have actually reported half an hour, but those are really, really ultra rare. I think it seems to me that the sleep paralysis are no more than 2 minutes. For those of you who don't, a neurosurgeon was on the show, and he talked about how it works. Think of it this way, because I said, look, because he was going into the science of it. I said, all right, stop. It's like, whoo. Just break it down for people who have no knowledge in medicine, or just explain it to like you explain it to a 10-year-old. And this is what he said. What happens is we dream in our subconscious state. That is where we dream. When our consciousness is drifting away, our subconscious then controls the motor functions of the body, the breathing, etc. Thank God. Otherwise, we'd stop breathing. But we also, that's the part of the brain where we dream. If we are awakened in a state of a dream state that we may not remember, because remember, the consciousness throws away the things that aren't important. So if we are awakened, then that subconscious will project that image. And we still don't know why, but when we are dreaming, when we are in the state of slumber, sleep, we are in a paralytic state, in essence. It's the brain, it's the conscious that turns the motor functions on. It turns that switch on. So what happens is when we are awake, we see this image in front of us that the subconscious is projecting. And sometimes it might take a minute or two for the consciousness then to take control of the motor functions of the body. So most of the time, the cases that I have worked with sleep paralysis, and I have had a lot of cases in sleep paralysis, the majority of time, it will happen between 1 and the longest I've ever heard was 2 minutes. But that's from my data. And that's the longest that I've had in my cases. Okay. Well, no. If you are awake and if you are alert and your consciousness is fully aware and you have the conscious is controlling of the motor function, you're able to stand, you're able to walk, you're able to talk, and you're still having those imagery being projected. My mind, okay, the intellect side and also the skeptical side is going to say to you, all right, if you came to me and said, look, I'm seeing these images when I'm wide awake, and what could this be? I'm not going to immediately scream demon. What I'm going to say to you politely is, have you been tested for any type of mental issues such as schizophrenia? Again, because I'm always going to look at the logical perspective first. Always. The very last thing that I consider is demonic. Very last. Because you have to exhaust every avenue before you get to that demonic entity. And that is what I would, if anybody tells me, look, I'm seeing demons and I'm wide awake and they're talking to me, and I think I'm possessed or I think I'm attacked. First of all, I require, it's non-negotiable. It is not, we're not negotiating. I require a psychological evaluation. I won't even proceed without one. And it's not because I'm being mean, it's because I'm not trained in psychiatry. So I need to make sure that you don't have dissociative identity disorder or you don't have schizophrenia, because I don't want to cause more problems and do more damage. Understand, and I've said this before, if someone has dissociative identity disorder, which is otherwise known as multiple personality, and I perform an exorcism on that person, I can create another personality. That's what irritates me so much. It really gets under my skin when you have all these preachers running around performing these exorcisms on people on camera, and they have had no psychological evaluation performed on them. None at all. I think that should be illegal. I truly believe it should be illegal, because they could be doing some very serious harm psychologically to the individuals who are having these rites performed on them. I find it abominable that anybody, any preacher, I don't care who, I don't care what denomination, any preacher, if you perform an exorcism on someone and you don't have a psychological evaluation performed, I think that should be against the law. Because I'm just thinking, what happens if that person is my family, is a family member? And let's say that that person truly does suffer from dissociative identity disorder, and some clergy runs around and says, well, now I'm going to perform an exorcism on you, and they don't have a psychological evaluation done on my family member. And then they do this right, and they cause a splinter within the brain, cause another personality to form. or another identity. I just, to me, I think that's a problem, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So I think that is immoral. It is unethical, and I find it to be an abomination, and I'm not a fan of that. Oh, I certainly I believe in schizophrenia. Absolutely, I do. I believe in dissociative identity disorder. I believe, I absolutely look at the science. I respect the people who have devoted their entire lives to the study of the brain, and they're far more educated in the field than I am. And so I do rely on people who are trained in mental disorders to at least offer the psychological evaluation to let me know, hey, James, if you perform an exorcism on this person, you can really cause some severe psychological damage. Well, why wouldn't I take, I should absolutely pay attention to that. So, yeah. I have a problem with people doing that, and I have a problem with people performing exorcisms on camera. I think it's terrible. I think it's disgusting. I think they're doing it for entertainment hour, and I don't like it. I don't like it. You do not use someone's torture, someone's pain, someone's spiritual trauma for personal gain. You just, why is that a hard thing to accept in this society? Why is that insulting when I say that to people? You don't use someone's trauma for your personal gain. It's just, that to me is just so basic. It's common decency. You just don't do it. I don't know. I don't know. So, okay. 14 hours was the longest. Well, actually, I worked with someone for 3 years. But as far as straight through was 14 hours. So, yeah, that was, but keep in mind, now, can a person who is mentally ill, can they be possessed? Absolutely. No question. Yes, they can. Because mental illness does not give you the ability of what's called retrocognition or prognostication. Mental illness does not give you the ability to know a language in which you've never studied. Mental language does not give you the ability to levitate. Mental illness does not give you the ability to contort your body in a very unnatural and impossible way that we could not do. So mental illness could not cause you to mimic the voice of a deceased loved one. That's not a form of mental illness, folks. There's something else going on there. So when you have that, yeah, I've talked about Santeria, and I'm not a fan of Santeria. Does antidepressants dull your sense of the paranormal? That's a great question, and that really would be, I think, a question that's more appropriate to someone who's trained in the medical field. I'm not. So I appreciate the question, but I think it would be irresponsible for me to say yes or no, because I just simply don't know. But that's a great question. Maybe I'll ask a doctor that one day, a doctor who actually believes in the paranormal too, right? But I don't know. And people say, you have to remember, I am also a representative of the church. And I'm also clergy, and I have a responsibility to make sure that I'm not saying things or doing things that are irresponsible. And it would be very irresponsible for me to project my opinion when it comes to a medical question like that. So I appreciate the question, but I really think that's more prone to someone who's actually trained in the medical field. If any of you are trained in the medical field, some of you may be, I don't know. But the question was, does antidepressants suppress the sense of paranormal? I think that was a question. I don't know. So, invisible stigmata is very, very interesting. That's some people call the invisible stigmata phantom stigmata, where basically you are mentally, and physically, you experience the pain, the wounds that Christ experienced without having the physical manifestations. I don't know. There's a lot of debate, as to whether or not phantom or that type of stigmata exists. I certainly believe in stigmata. And by the way, for those of you who want to know, stigmata is not seen as a curse. Every person throughout history, so within certainly the Roman Catholic Church, in which they've declared, okay, this is a legitimate case of stigmata. There's never been a case where the person looked at it as a curse. So I'm aware there's movies and things of this, the stigmata. Oh, thank you, Maria. But it's never seen as a bad or evil thing. As a matter of fact, most people who have legitimate stigmata are seen as very pious and holy people. Okay, so yeah, I just I'm going to leave the medical questions. I'm going to leave that alone because, like I said, I'm not trained in the medical field, and that would be irresponsible. I mean, I can obviously talk about theological issues, but when it comes to that, I stay away from the medical issues or medical questions because of that. You know, and I should. I can talk all day long about Scripture. I can talk all day long about theology or demonology, but have you ever heard of the knowledge of Jerusalem syndrome? I have seen. For those of you who don't know, it's the belief, I guess, that people who are very, very pious and almost obsessed with Christ, and people have even described it as delusional, that they experience this kind of psychosis when they go to Jerusalem, and they believe that they are experiencing the exact pain that Christ experienced. There's a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate whether or not that is a psychosis episode. That's it's a good question. I don't know. There's been quite a few. From what I understand, some people say 1,200, some people say 1,500 tourists that have developed this, and there have been some people that have been admitted to the hospital. Yeah, check it out. If you don't know what it's called Jerusalem syndrome. But it's an interesting theory. Well, yeah. If you need assistance, like let's say if you're having issues in your home, then you can go to my website, bishopjameslong.com, and click on the paranormal link. bishopjameslong, LONG.com. And if you click on the paranormal link, you can fill out that form and we'll try to help, Yeah, the Grim Reaper, we just simply, there's a lot of theories on the Grim Reaper, but I don't look, for me, I don't look as, when I think of death doesn't frighten me. And it doesn't frighten me because my faith is so strong in God and the afterlife. And quite honestly, because I had a near-death experience where I saw my mom, where I was actually clinically dead. And I saw my mom who had passed away a year before the event. So I am absolutely, absolutely convinced, without question, that the life does exist after this one. No question at all. That was a life-changing event when I saw my mom. I do believe I believe in Marian apparitions. I think there are some Marian apparitions that are questionable, but I'm very devoted to the Blessed Mother. So they are life-changing. Megs says near-death experience testimonies are life-changing. No, Dustin. Dustin says, does it cost anything for you to come to the house to bless? Nope, never charged, never will in 20 years. But the problem, that's why I do these shows. That's why I ask people to consider donating so that I can get to people's homes like Dustin. Because I don't know where you live. I mean, if you live in Florida or Texas or California or Hawaii, I'm going to have to find a way to get there. I mean, I'm in Kentucky. So that's the problem. The jinns, yeah, I'm not a fan of there's a lot of terminology as far as demons and what different beliefs and I think the potato. I do not believe that there are good demons at all. So if you want to refer to a jinn as being an evil thing, but I do not believe in a jinn like Aladdin and the where you use this little thing and this creature pops out, whatever they're called. My brain just said goodbye. I don't believe in that. I do not believe in good demons. Demons. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as being a good demon. It does not exist. Well, yeah, New Albany is not far from me at all. So, but again, what you need to do, can demons protect you? No. No. And if anyone tells you that a demon can protect you, they're lying to you. Plain and simple. They are lying to you. If anybody, and then I don't care who it is, if anybody tells you that you can summon a demon and they will protect you, you need to run away from them and never speak to them again about demonology. Because there's this that all comes from, first of all, it comes from Hollywood. There are movies where you can summon your demon and you can have your own personal private demon, and that is the biggest bunch of crap. It is evil. It is a lie, and it all goes back to the Lesser Key of Solomon, where this belief that Solomon summoned demons for the sole purpose of doing his will because he had this magic ring. Listen to me. I'm just telling you right now, and you can believe me if you don't. And people can believe me if they don't. But I will give you I tell you the truth. If you summon a demon because you think that demon is going to do your bidding, I will guarantee you will reach out to me one day. And you will say, Bishop Long, I need help. Mark my words. I have had cases where people did just that. They went online. They found the Lesser Key of Solomon. They found these drawings where you can summon a particular demon, and this chanting crap that you do. That's summoning. That's what you. And you summon this demon for the sole purpose because you have the drawing, and now this drawing, the demon says, "Oh, you have the drawing. Oh my goodness! Now I'm going to have to do exactly what you tell me to do." That's ridiculous. They're not genies. But I will give you my word. If you do it, you're going to be calling me one day. And I have to tell you, I'm sorry I can't get to your home. Don't do it. Stay away from it. You cannot summon a demon. Demons will not be your buddy. They will not be your friend. They will not help you. You are ultimately what you are doing when you are summoning a demon for the sole purpose of having them do your bidding or help you to do whatever you want them to do. That is selling yourself to the devil. That's selling your soul. You are making a pact with the devil. And then people talk to me about, can you lose your salvation? You make a covenant with the devil. What do you think that is? Don't do it. Do not do it. It is something that just stays away. I don't talk about the dates of exorcisms because of privacy for the families. So I don't go. I've performed 30 documented exorcisms on people who are violently possessed in 20 years. They are very, very rare. Very rare. However, I have performed quite a few minor rite of exorcisms. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I just performed one. It was at a home where the family was being tormented to the point where they had kids and they would not go back to their home. They would not go back. They were that terrified. It wasn't just the kids saying that they, see something. It was actually the parents experiencing it too. They saw. what the kids were seeing and hearing what the kids were hearing. And I had to get involved, and I did. And that was a bad situation. Yes, I did. Keiko Roto 187. I have had incubus succubus cases. As a matter of fact, one case that I had, she was 68 years old, and it was a very violent incubus case. And I worked with her for 3 years. She had suffered with it for 5 years, and she would describe them as bed walkers. 3 pound. She would describe them like 3 pound or 3 10-pound dogs, or the weight of a 3-pound dog walking towards her and then holding her down and doing terrible things to her. And this was not a stage of sleep paralysis because she was completely alert when it happened. And so that she suffered for 5 years. 5 years. The minor rite, yes. Okay. So what's the difference between an exorcism and a deliverance? Well, okay, there is the minor rite of exorcism, the solemn rite of exorcism, and a deliverance. The minor rite of exorcism, you do not perform an exorcism on a home. Anybody who says that, that's absurd. That is absolutely absurd. You bless the home. You perform the exorcism on the demonic or malevolent spirit that has infested itself within the home. And then you bless the home. That is the minor rite of exorcism. The solemn rite of exorcism is you perform the exorcism on the demonic entity that has taken over the body of an individual who's gone through the trauma, and then you perform the exorcism. And of course, you also bless the home. You also perform the minor rite of exorcism too. You're blessing the home and you're performing the solemn rite. A deliverance is a form of prayer that is prayed over an individual in which they have a demonic attachment. Can laity perform deliverances? Yes. You can pray over an individual who has a demonic attachment, but you need to be very, very careful. That's where people get confused with the solemn rite of exorcism and a deliverance. The solemn rite of exorcism, remember, that person has already gone through extreme trauma, psychological and physical trauma. Remember, their intellect and will is eradicated, so the body can only sustain so much trauma. The person then, it becomes possessed. In those cases, you perform what's called the solemn rite of exorcism. That can only be performed by validly ordained clergy. A deliverance is someone has an attachment where the demonic is affecting the person and you pray over that person, but you got to be very, very, very careful. Yeah, that's what's called the solemn rite. But you have to be careful with the deliverance. If you pray a prayer of deliverance over someone, and that person is under the stage of oppression, that person could enter into what is called transient possession. That is where it gets very dangerous. There is perfect possession and transient possession. Perfect is when the demonic has full control of the body 24/7. Transient is when it enters and leaves the body at will. Both are very traumatic to the body. But the problem is the moment that you begin a prayer of deliverance and that person has been under the stage of oppression for quite some time, their intellect and will could be eradicated just by the very act of praying a prayer of deliverance, and the demonic could attack very fiercely. Then you could have a problem where the person goes into transient possession. That's where the danger lies. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Producer. No, Roxanne, no. Listen, and people get upset when I say this, but guys, look, I did not write the solemn rite of exorcism. The first form of rite of exorcism was written in 1614. The first mention of exorcism as an office comes from a letter written by Pope Cornelius in 253. So don't get mad at me when I'm telling you what the rite says. There are rubrics. Rubrics are rules to the rite, the solemn rite of exorcism. The rubrics say that if you're not a validly ordained priest who's been trained in the rite, whose bishop has been given them permission to perform this exorcism, you have no business even reading it. That is the Roman rite of exorcism. Don't get mad. People get mad when I say that. I'm just giving you the facts. I'm giving you what the rite says. I didn't write it. So I'm telling people what that says. So does that mean that I believe only Roman Catholic priests or Catholic priests can perform exorcisms? No, because in other denominations, they have their own rite. And that's perfectly fine. But I'm telling you what the Roman rite says. So now you can take that as you wish. But my job is to educate you. And that's what I'm teaching you, what the rite says. Look, I'm not a shaman. I have no business performing shamanic rituals. And I don't. So it's just like anybody else. You should respect the rite in the denomination in which it is written to and for. There we go. Well, the guardian angel is still fighting on their behalf. We all have guardian angels, and that is why during the solemn rite of exorcism, we pray what is called the Litany of Saints. It's a beautiful, beautiful prayer. You might want to Google that or YouTube. It's beautiful. And we invoke the saints. We invoke the angels, their names. We call upon them to help us fight the battle on behalf of the person. So it's very, very important. For those of you who are on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon, of course, for our night prayer. I want to remind everybody, don't forget, we have night prayer tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. You can go to Bishop James Long, bishopjameslong.com, and you can click on, just scroll down. All you got to do is scroll down, and there you go. And you'll see it, night prayer. You click it, and it'll take you right to you don't have to do anything else. It takes you right there. For those of you who are KGRADB folks, also stay tuned. Andrea Perrin, who grew up in the Conjuring house, is on. She follows next right after me, right after this show on the top of the hour. She starts, and she's on KGRADB.com. KGRADB. I've got lots of people asking me questions now, folks. I've been here for almost 2 hours, so we gotta roll out. But KGRADB.com. That's the website. So make sure you go there so you can listen to and watch Andrea Perrin. Again, she grew up in the Conjuring house. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. I tell you all the time, and TikTok, I'll be with you in just a second. I tell all of you every time, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You are priceless, and never let anybody convince you otherwise. Bill, thank you so very much for being here, Mr. Producer, and I'll talk to you guys on Sunday. Bye-bye. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.